Hey, what's up, Dean? Air Performance. We are down here today working on the Corvette. We got the electric vehicle. I made the shroud, mounted both of the side engines, so that is pretty much done. I also ran a battery charger up to inside plug for it. It's down in there, right there, the red and black. So it's pretty much done. Today, working on the Corvette. I already kind of started working on it. Tore the coil packs off. I had already taken the intake off, see what kind of condition it was in. Cars, I would say it was neglected a little bit, being that there was so much trash. That plastic bag on the shelf up in the air filter. The air filter wasn't installed properly, so the air filter's filthy. But we're gonna fix all that. So I'm gonna start tearing this apart, get the intake off, I got the coil packs on this side off. I'm gonna get the coil packs on that side off. Intake, and then start draining the radiator and pulling all of the shroud and everything out of it. Get ready to pull the radiator. So hopefully by the end of today, I'll pretty much have the car completely disassembled. The manifold's off, the exhaust dropped. Have all the accessory stuff off that I need to get off. I got to get the rack and pinion off in order to mount I got to pin the crank, and then I also need to start mounting up the belt drive for the Whipple. So, and then I got a bunch of stuff. I got a little tank, a little pump, and a little catch can. So I'm gonna make my own heat exchanger kit for the back of the Whipple. It's got 2 3/4 nipples sticking out, so you put like a heater hose, inlet, outlet for the brick underneath, and then you run it to like a heat exchanger, which there's a ton of room up here, so I ordered the biggest heat exchanger I could that I'll mount in there. I'm gonna try to mount it a little farther forward to not kind of transfer the heat back or transfer the heat into the heat exchanger. We'll see how that works. So, and then I'll have to cover this hole because the intake's not going to go in that big of a hole. It's just basically going to be a 4-inch tube going down, and filter may sit right in front of the bumper, or the bumper chassis part of the bumper, whatever that is. Might sit a little lower, we don't know. Yeah, so I'm gonna start ripping this thing apart. All right, so I got the intake off. I got both sets of coil packs off now. Everything's disconnected for the most part that needs to be. I had a thought and then I lost it. But yeah, so I already took a leaf blower and blew most of the crap that was off of there, but you can see, I don't know what that stuff is. Some kind of like shells. It looks like sunflower seed shells, but overall, I mean, it's fairly clean for what most LSs are when you take the intake off. Usually it's gunked with like a bunch of old crusty oil, so it's not horribly bad. I'm gonna grab my little vacuum and vacuum all of that off and then get the intake ports taped back off. I might try to fit the base manifold real quick to see if I have to clock the oil pressure sensor. I'm pretty sure I got to take this cover off the lifter valley with the PCV. Pretty sure I got to take this one off and install like the delete style one, or it's the other style one without the DOD stuff, but it doesn't have the PCV up here. It comes from the valve cover, which they cap it off on this apparently. Either that or I need to turn that hose facing down the front of the block, which may be an easier option because then I don't have to remove that. So yeah, I'm gonna get this all cleaned up, wiped down, taped off, and then possibly set that lower on there. All right, only took a couple minutes, but I set it in there first. I vacuumed everything out real good. I set it in there, and the PCV line did absolutely hit. The steam port touched just ever so slightly, so I took a screwdriver and stuck it all the way down in there, a Phillips head, and it just simply turned. It doesn't have enough room for a hose to go on with a clamp, so it fits. Everything fits though. It's sitting flat and everything. So what I'm gonna do, pull this back off, and I'm gonna tap the steam port down a little bit to be able to turn the PCV down enough to get a rubber hose on it. And I'll probably shove the rubber hose on it so I know it fits. It necessarily doesn't need a hose clamp. It didn't have one from the factory. Matter of fact, the factory one was so dry rotted it broke. It just like ripped. It's super hard. Like you can't even get it to do anything, but that's fine. These are the two brackets off the intake. This I have no idea what this is, but it was laying down on the passenger side, down inside of here. It was sat wedged way down in there, so I'm not really sure what this is. If it's some sort of like wire protector, I don't know. I have no idea what it is, or if it fell off of somewhere. Who knows? Maybe out of the air filter cabin, something. I have no idea. Could probably look up the part number. Don't want to. So yeah, so I'm gonna knock that down a little bit, get the rubber hose on it. That way that part will be done. And then I decided I'm just gonna go ahead and put the O-rings in it. I'll probably throw 1 or 2 bolts in this first, grab the blower and stick the blower on and make sure I can get it in there. I'm pretty sure I can. I kind of rough measured the distance I have to the cowl, the distance I have to the heat exchanger block. I kind of measured all that out. It looks like I have plenty of room to kind of snake it in and drop it down. That thing is friggin' heavy though. So, and I'm short, so I can't really reach over that good. So I could use my crane, but there's not really good bolt holes on here. Like on the sides, there's not really anything to grab onto. It would be like maybe one of these ports or a throttle body bolt, and there's almost nothing in the back. So I'd rather not have to do that, even though it's probably the better thing to do. There's really not a way to grab it from the sides, which would be ideal, because if I could hang it and swing it and do all that, if I put a bolt in the front and a bolt in the back, it might hit the cowl, might not be able to get a chain out or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, fix that, get the hose on it, and get that bolted down with the gaskets and everything in it. And I already installed, like pre-installed the new brake booster line, port, whatever you want to call it. And then there will be one more thing. Oh, the map sensor's already on the back, so I'll get that plugged in, the extension harness to bring it up front. Thought there was something else. Oh, possibly if I want to do the emissions, like the evap line, could probably rehang the purge solenoid over there, which everything's on the intake. I left it as one complete unit with the MAF all the way back to the brake booster hose. But might reuse the evap stuff. Not really sure. The only thing I'll have to do is get a fitting probably for this side to go in here. I can't remember where it comes off the intake. I didn't disconnect it from the intake, to be honest with you. Let's see. So here's just the line that goes to the metal, goes up front, and then that line there, I have no idea. Oh, it comes over to the side of the throttle body, basically, right here. So this line here comes off right behind the throttle body. So it would be manifold vacuum. So I would be able to run like a hose barb off this fitting right here and just bring a rubber hose over to the evap solenoid. And then the evap stuff would all be hooked up. I don't know. I got to talk to the tuner and ask him that part, because I don't know if that's a good idea to charge, or if that solenoid would be closed and it'd be fine. You'd only be charged. I imagine it'd be fine because you're only charging to the solenoid. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get this bolted down, and I have to check the rails because the rails bolt on to the intake, not or to the lower, not to the actual blower. The injectors should be here today, so I'll be able to just kind of tape off the top or put a bag over the top, and then tomorrow come in, put the injectors, the rails, finish bolting the intake down, and then move on to disassembling the front. But I am gonna get everything done today. The front pulled all apart and everything. I just wanted to make sure that fits. Yeah, anyways, rambling. Be back. Okay, so everything's out. Radiator's out. The AC condenser, evaporator, whatever this is still all hooked up. Rack and pinion shoved 3/4 of the way across the car. That's a pain in the butt. Accessory drive, I did end up taking it off. It's easier to get the rack across. Both exhaust manifolds are off. Well, obviously the header's up in there. I just wanted to see if it would fit. It actually fits really, really good. I haven't fit this one yet because of the steering column has to get connected, so I didn't fit that one in there, but yeah, that's a different issue. Lower plenum is on, and it has 3 on each side. So once I get the injectors in the morning, I'll stab the rails on and then put the other 2 bolts on each side, get it tightened down. Everything's off. Timing gear's off. The cam retainer plate is off. Push rods, rockers. So I'm going to take one of the water pump bolts over here, stick it in the cam, spin it, take my wooden dowels, measure them. I don't know that I'll be able to shove the whole length in that I have, but the downpipes are off, so I got to get an oxygen sensor to take the O2. No, I have to get a oxygen sensor socket to get the O2s. These are upstreams, which we'll use. We won't use the downstream ones, but I got to get these out, and I'll probably extend those wires up to where they connect originally, which is by the coil pack. Yeah, so it'll have to come up. So I'd rather extend kind of the O2 wire rather than questionable. Be better to extend the harness, because then the harness is always extended, but neither here nor there. I'll figure that out. But I'm going to get this cam spun over. I'm going to get the cam pulled out. Everything else is off the car. It has to come off the car minus the fuel pump, because it's got about half a tank gas in it. So yeah, I'm going to get the cam out. Everything is super clean though. Like the push rod's super clean. The car has 80-something thousand miles on it. Rockers aren't oil stained. Heads are really, really clean. I'm actually, for as dirty as the outside is, man, that right there, that's the Death Grabber 2000. But the motor's super, super clean inside. So I would say oil changes are quite frequent. You can see the oil's not black. It's got a nice color to it. So I would say at the very least the oil changes are frequent. But yeah, I am going to get that cam out, get the new cam in. I'm not using, let's see. So in the box, it gives you those crappy, like split, these perforated gaskets. I hate these, despise them actually. So I always throw those away, and I grab a set of like the AC Delco crushed steel multi-layer ones. So I already got that one in, most likely going to take it out. I have to look at the exhaust where it connects to the X pipe. I believe what I'm going to do is pluck that X pipe out and shorten it, but I'll show that in a little bit. But I'm going to get this cam out and get back to it. Okay, so you can see the new cam is in. The wood sticks worked perfect. Now on mine, I did grind a flat spot, and I don't remember if that's kind of what everybody says to do, but you can feel as I spun the cam. So what I do is I put the water pump bolts in, I spin the cam, keep it in its bearing journals, and I push the stick in, and there's a couple of lifters that you can feel keep coming down, and once it gets to that oil galley, it'll push the stick by. So I know for a fact that I probably would have had 3 or 4 lifters drop out on me, which is freaking nerve-wracking because they basically drop to the top of the windage tray. And on this car, you'd have to pull the motor, drop the pan, drop the windage tray, you know, dig the lifter out, pull the heads off, or try and fish the lifter back up from the bottom. I don't want to get into that, but the whole cam's right here. So this is an LS2 cam, and it's like, you know, roller wear on it, but there's no scarring or nothing like that. So I'm gonna put this back in the bag and in that box somewhere on the shelf. Maybe at some point somebody will do something, but this is the Tick cam. This, I'm almost 90% positive this is their custom cut one for us. Yeah, this is their custom cam that they cut for us for this application with the 4L60 supercharger LS2. So this is, even though it is an LS2 and it is a Gen 4 block, it has the single pole. So this is a 24 tooth, no, 20, what is it, 58, 24, oh crap, it's the Gen 3 style crank. Why can I 24X and then 58X or 48X? 58X. So how does it go from 24 to 58? But whatever. Anyways, this is a 24 tooth crank. So a single pole cam gear. I did get the 2-pole or 4-pole cam gear, but I won't need it. So I do somewhere right there. I got the new cam retaining plate with bolts. So you can see the gaskets all sticking way out, which is good. This one, the old one, but you can see the rubber O-ring is just flat. So that goes in the garbage. Actually, it goes in the scrap bin actually. Over here, scrap bin for that. So I'm gonna put the retaining plate on. The gear, I'm gonna get lined back up. I already had it aligned before I took it off. I put the dot to dot on the crank. So I'm gonna get that put back on, take a picture, double check it, and I could drop the new push rods in. I have those over here somewhere. Yeah, they're I have them here somewhere. I got the new push rods. So I'm gonna get those in. And then I'm going to work on getting all the plugs out and start changing out all the valve springs. I have the dual valve spring kit. That's what's sitting here. So I got to find the lifter or the push rods. So I got the nice dual springs, all new valve seals, locks, retainers, the whole kit. So I'm going to get work. I'm going to end this one off here. And then tomorrow, come back in and we will knock out the injectors and hopefully get everything back together and start getting the blower installed on it, and go from there. I appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified, and leave me a comment. Have a good day.